All right, back to this affiliate site that made me nearly 7 figures. A lot of people are asking about content, and there's a little bit of confusion because I've been talking a lot about AI content. Remember, I did this site way back in 2019, so I did not use AI content for this website. I will talk about my AI content process, and I know a lot of people want to know more about the conversion pages I talk about. We'll cover that in a different video, but I think it's important that you guys understand the content process for this website, because if you're building like a site you really care about, you're going to want to have human written content, or at the very least, AI content that has a human editor for it, where it's very humanized. You don't want to build out a site you really care about with total AI content, in my opinion. You want to have it human written, and you want to have kind of all the bells and whistles, which I did for this site. Now, I should have went even further, right? The site doesn't look great. I could have made it look a lot better, but I probably would have done that later on. The reason I didn't do that is because of what happened, right? I knew the chance of that happening was very high because Google changes things like this all the time. So I was like, if I start making millions of dollars a year or a month off this site, then I'll start making changes where I make it look even more professional. For me, it looked good enough for what I was trying to accomplish, and then I would have changed it later on if I needed to. So always think about those things before you do them, because if I spent all the time and money to make this look perfect, and then it got hit, it would have been a waste of time and money. So always consider that. So let's talk about the process that I use to build out the content for this website, because a lot of you may want to use that same type of process for websites that you build. Or you can, do kind of partial of what I talk about. If you're writing your own content, you can take the other part of hiring someone to make it look better and, all the different plugins I use to make that easy. So even if you can do one thing but not the other, you'll get something out of this video as far as having a process for content for your website that's very easy. So first of all, for my content for this website, I used textbroker.com. This is a pretty good website for hiring writers, and I imagine that it's actually cheaper now with all the AI content stuff out there. That a lot of people don't use as much these services, so I think the prices are going down for them. And you can find human writers for even cheaper now because of the AI content. So, it could be worth it depending on what you're doing. Here's the inside of it, where you can see there's kind of all different options you can have in here, and I'll go through my whole process, which is really important to understand when you're building out a site like this that has a lot of pages. Then the other service I used was Upwork, and this is like a hiring service. Many of you have probably heard about this. I use this to find someone to do all of my article posting and then all of my article formatting, and it's called Thrive Architect is the plugin I used. It's from Thrive Themes, and it's basically like an easier version of WordPress that makes you can have like buttons and just tables, and just makes things very easy like that. So I made a job post on here looking for a Thrive post expert who can also do basic things like post articles, and that's what I found. Most of the work he did for this website, I think I paid him like $4 an hour. Now I've been working with him so long now, it's been over 5 years. I think I'm paying him $6 an hour because he does a lot of stuff for me. But you can find really cheap people on Upwork that do a really good job. So let's take a look at Thrive really quick just to show you what I mean. So if I scroll over one of my posts here, and by the way, you see almost 1,200 posts. Remember I said I did about 800. That's still true. A few hundred of these posts are just duplicates. So what I would do is I would duplicate pages. I would no index the duplicate page and then do some conversion testing with pay-per-click. That's all stuff I can talk about in another video, but there is about 800-900 pages on here that I had written from writers on TextBroker. Probably cost me, something like 50 grand. I don't know, something like that. I'd have to go back and look to see the exact number. Maybe 100 grand. I don't know. But obviously, I profited way, way more than that. Let's hover over this and we go to edit with Thrive Architect. You're going to kind of see like the different layout from regular WordPress. It brings up Thrive Architect, which is like a plugin you can use to do easy kind of formatting of the article, especially when you know what you're doing, which is what I hired someone for. So if you go here, you see there's like a table here, and if we go to plus over here, there's all different stuff. Like I can drag in a video anywhere I want, up above, below. I can do buttons and columns and content boxes, and there's all types of, you can build out templates here, right? You can have custom menus and HTML, like Facebook, like you can do everything with Thrive Architect where it's basically drag, drop, point, click. But it's a big learning process if you don't know how to do it. So that's why I went to Upwork, and all I did was I went here and I signed up and I posted well, I already had an account, but I posted a job for looking for a Thrive Architect expert. Now, when you do these job posts for whatever you're looking for, big tip, make sure you have them show you their previous work, right? You want to see previous work. You're looking for them to have reviews of people from before, positive reviews, obviously. You obviously want to consider price, right? You want them to be well priced, but you want to make sure that they have previous work that you like their style. That's how I found the guy that I work with. Now, it took a couple people to, I hired a couple people at once and kind of tried them all at once. Then I picked this guy who I like best, and I've now had him for 5 years, and he does all types of stuff for me. But I would have him go into TextBroker, take the article, post it, and then just format it to have it look really good, right? He would go in here, he would make the, any tables, and, he would do buttons and all that type of stuff. So let me scroll down here and just show you what this page looks like. So like he would add the images, he would do these, these check marks and these little tables, and he just made everything look really good, like buttons for the links. He did everything. Anything I wanted to do, he could do it, and he was only $4 an hour for a lot of the time he worked for me, which is very, very cheap. So that's the one part of it, is hiring someone for the look of the site where you don't have to do that yourself. Obviously, you can learn it yourself and you can do it all yourself, but you can also hire someone for $3-4 an hour if you have, if your time is better spent somewhere else, which for me it definitely is. So that's that's one half of it. The other half is obviously TextBroker, right? So with TextBroker, what I needed to do was find authors that were reliable. So when you're trying to find authors that are reliable, you want to create what you call like an author template, right? So for this particular website, I told them like, hey, like my outline for my articles was, I want my articles written in third person. I want, bullet points. I want it split up. I want small sentences or small paragraphs. I want, and you just got to tell them everything you want in your template. Then for each article you order, you have that same template that just goes to all these different authors, and they know how to do your content, right? They know how you want your content structured. And then from there, I would put these things out and I would put it like in their public thing, and I haven't used this in so long, but I would post a job right here, like create an order, post a job. And initially what I do is I just do it to the public, right? So I do public, any author can bid on it, and I pick, I'll pick maybe 5-10 authors, have them all do a few articles, right? I'll actually read the articles myself, look at the formatting, see who followed directions, see which articles I like best, then I'll communicate directly with those authors. So the beginning process for finding authors and even Upwork is a little bit of a pain, because you got to go through a little bit of a pain process of, finding the right ones. But once you have the right ones, it's very simple, right? Once I found the authors I wanted, they would create they would create the articles. The articles would come in, say they're done. My guy from Upwork would come in, take the article. He would post it. He would make it look good. He would send me the final approval. I would give it a once over. It's good to go, and publish it. And that would be the whole process. Again, the pain part is just finding the right people. And when it comes to Upwork, it's all about just looking at the reviews, having them give you examples of their previous work, and then just making sure the price is right and that they fit, right? Because sometimes you'll find someone who fits everything, like they have good price, you like their work, but they're kind of not reliable, right? Like they're there one day, they're not there the next. So you can keep working to find people that meet your needs. And maybe that person who has everything, but he's not very reliable, maybe he's your guy for a few weeks, but in that time, you're testing other people until you find exactly what you want. Then you find a guy who has good price, perfect formatting, he's always there, always online, he's good price. That's your guy, right? And you kind of switch him out, and that he takes over to be like your main guy. Same thing with the article writers, right? You put out your article orders. You might hire 10 writers to start when you're doing a big site like this. Have them each do 2 to 3 articles, review all their articles, which is a pain. It takes time to read their articles and actually review and go back and forth with them. Because sometimes someone will miss like some little parts, and you'll go back and forth and you'll say, all right, let's try 2 more. So you kind of got to, and then some authors, it's like you read and right away you're like, nah, like this guy or girl is no good. I don't want anything to do with him. I'll keep these articles. I'll use them for something, but I'm moving on to someone else. And then some people are like, perfect. You're like, oh, great, this guy's awesome. And I can keep ordering articles from them. But usually for the authors, depending on if you're doing a big site like this, you're going to need multiple authors, right? I think I had like 2 or 3 authors that I would put in orders with that gave me a lot of articles from like 2 or 3 authors. What I recommend, though, is once you find your authors that are writing for you, make sure you check in on their articles every once in a while. Like, I made the mistake of checking once with one of the authors, and he was good. And then I just kept having to do articles. And like after 2 weeks, he did like 50 articles, and I checked like a later one. It was way worse than what he originally did. So I had to like delete some articles he did and have them redone. So just make sure you check in every once in a while, especially when you're first starting with new authors. You know, maybe every 5 articles you get, just check one, make sure it still meets your guidelines. That way, you know, they're not just kind of, you know, now that you're ramping up the orders, they're not falling off with the quality, and they keep doing what you want them to do. So that was my whole process for the content. It's a simple process, but it's a pain in the butt to get set up initially. But once you get over that pain point of that initial, you know, finding the right people, it's very easy. Like, all I would do is just put in the article titles to my authors, because once you find the authors, you can do direct orders, right? So you would come down here in your inbox, and you can go to the author, and you can do a direct order rate in that author profile. And I'll just do a direct order to a particular author, give them 20 articles, they'll send them back, right? Another author, I'll do the same thing, 20 articles for them. Within a week, I got 40 articles back from 2 authors, right? They're working pretty much for me full time for a few weeks, or, you know, a couple months, however long I'm taking to do my content process. And then what I would do is just tell the guy from Upwork, like, look, now I'm going to give you, after he does like, you know, a couple weeks of work, and I find out he's reliable, look, now I'm going to add to your job. Instead of just logging into my website and fixing the articles that I was posting initially, I'm going to have you go grab the article and you post the article. So now you're going to actually grab the article, you're going to post it, you're going to do all the stuff. I'm just going to do the final check. So it's a process of finding the right people and filtering through people. And then once you find the right people, giving them more responsibilities as time goes on. Because initially you can't give them everything. You can, but if you give them everything right away, it's easier for them to mess up things that don't need to be messed up. Whereas if you take it step by step, you just take a few weeks and take your time, within a couple months, you can have the whole process down where you're not doing much, you know, besides spending money on having these people do it for you. You're just kind of going in to do the final checks. Like for me, I was doing the final checks for like making sure the titles were right and the basic on-page SEO. Would take a couple minutes each article, approve it, publish it, and it would be good to go. So that's that was my whole process for the content for this website. Then totally different than the AI content, right? AI content, you pump it out, and then you kind of filter people to a conversion page, which I'll show you in a future video if people are interested in that. But this was the content process for this website. If you have any questions at all about this, let me know, and I'll answer them. Hopefully this is helpful for you guys. Make sure you leave a comment. Talk to you soon.